the cloud, and we are recording. In the interest of time, I'd like to get the meeting started. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Kerry, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the
flag
flag of the
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty
liberty and justice for all. Thanks for the flag, Sven.
No problem.
And let me pull up the agenda. Before we get going with the meeting, I'd like to have us recognize and thank in repose Dr. Lou Annunziato, who passed away recently, who was our first fire commissioner. And I'd like that noted in the minutes that we've recognized him for not only what he did for the fire service in this town, but also for the town in general and many of the other roles he played. And we thank the memory of Dr. Annunziato. In moving on, a review of the last meeting's minutes. I was not in attendance. I did read the draft minutes. Does anyone have any comments on them? They appear to be complete. Looks like we have the commissioner's comments, we have the chief's report, we have the fire marshal's report. We even covered the 7 names that were in for the town tax abatement incentive for the volunteers. Is there anything else that needs to be corrected, amended, et cetera?
No. Motion to accept.
Second.
Good. Oh, she's here. Hi, Beth.
Sorry, I
Beth, second.
knocked my router off when I was trying to get on and had to reboot everything before I could get on.
Okay, she seconded. I'll make it unanimous. The motion is approved to the motion to approve the minutes is done. Okay. Chief's report. Chief, would you like to update us?
Sent the report out last week.
Yes, sir.
Everybody is, was a relatively quiet month. We only had 59 calls. Everything else, there's nothing really unusual on it. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
I have the spreadsheet open on my computer. I believe everyone should have it. Anything of note there?
Yeah, our overtime lines, as you can see, are in deficit, a couple of them because of a couple of injuries and
Right.
retirements. Our training budget is also maxed out. I'm transferring money this week from other lines into the training budget. We have to pay tuition for 2 guys in the academy and college reimbursements and some other classes. Now that schools are opening again, we're getting a lot of tuition bills. And repairs of emergency equipment is also near exhaustion. And we're going to, we've had a bunch of air packs that have had minor malfunctions, but they're very expensive to repair. So we'll be transferring a little bit of money from mobile equipment from the truck account to the equipment account. And besides that, I think everything's under control. We're still within our target area, so we're in pretty good shape, and we're doing okay.
Okay. Any questions for the chief on his report, including the financials?
Chief, you said you're transferring some funds from the mobile equipment account?
Yeah, we're gonna move from mobile equipment repairs to emergency equipment repairs. The fleet's in relatively good shape. We have a couple of big bills that haven't come in yet, but there should be sufficient money in those accounts to take care of them.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Fire Marshal's report. Fire Marshal Payne, would you care to go through your report, highlight anything? And if you have any comments to make about the Brook Road incident, we'd appreciate hearing it, including any, since we're on the record, anything that might be helpful to other members of the public in fire prevention.
I sent my report last week on Friday, and I would agree with the chief. It was a quiet month. Our regular inspections are starting to pick up. People are coming due, so that'll continue to ramp up in the coming weeks and months. Other than that, really nothing. So we did have a fire last week on Brooks Road. It was a fire in a crawl space below a hearth extension for the fireplace in the living room. And what had happened, the fireplace had an ash dump in the firebox, and the ashes dumped down below the chimney into the foundation area, which
Right.
was exterior to the house. Well, the smoke and the fire was in the crawl space, and when I got in there with the guys, they were just finishing up. It just didn't look right. I should have been looking at all cinder block, and I wasn't. I was looking at a pressure treated sill plate, a piece of plywood on the bottom of the hearth extension, and a framing member that was holding up the hearth extension before it was poured. So I asked the guys to keep working on the framing member till they could get through it so I could see what was on the other side. And I was hoping to see, because this is the separation from the house to the ash dump on the outside of the house. So I was hoping when that framing lumber was gone, I'd be looking at solid concrete, which would be the proper separation.
Right.
When they got through that framing member, we were looking right into the ash dump. So what had happened over 20 years of that ash dump filling with ash, it finally filled up to the level of these framing members. And the people had had a fire approximately 4 or 5 days before. The housekeeper came in, properly disposed of all the ashes down the ash dump. Well, they settled against that framing member and smoldered there for a few days and finally caught fire. So in this case, this was improperly done. I subsequently met out there with the insurance agent last week. And today I met out there with the owner, the insurance agent, and a chimney contractor. And he took a look at it. We were both on the same page as to what needed to be done. He's going to go into the building department, take out a permit tomorrow and do the repairs before they have another fire.
Well, that's great. That should give the homeowner some peace of mind, I hope.
It did. I believe it did. Yeah.
Great. Good job. Thank you, sir. That's great.
Thank you.
And when it comes to for public information, shouldn't they actually regularly clean out those the ash dumps?
The ash dump should probably, if you have frequent fires, depending on how deep the ash dump is, obviously, but if it fills up to the door, it should be cleaned out before that, because there's usually down in the basement or exterior of the house, there's usually a door for the ash dump. And monitor that as long as your ashes are below that door level. And if they are, let them sit there till spring or summer. Do it in the summer, make sure everything's out. And because I think another problem, and Chief, maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but if there's a finished basement, there's usually an access panel.
Yep.
For that ash dump. And what I can see happening is if people are taking hot embers out of that, they fall off the shovel, they fall behind the wall. That, we kind of had a similar issue over on Whitney Lane earlier in the season.
We've had a couple of those, yeah, where they would put finished basement around the door to empty the ash pit. And we've had some problems where the door might have been ajar, the door fell off and had hot embers fall into walls and cause problems. So it's happened more than once.
Okay, thank you, Fire Marshal. Thank you for your report and thank you for the helpful advice. And let's go back to the agenda. Okay, is there any old business before the commission? If not, is there any new business not on the agenda that we need to vote to add to the agenda? I hear none. If not, Chief, could you update us on the budget process? I believe I think we're up to our final step, the town council. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the past week or two, we did our presentation for the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance has approved or moved forward our budget intact. They made no modifications or cuts, so we're in good shape there. Next Tuesday, we present to town council, and then they'll do the whole budget. And I think we're in relatively good shape. We didn't get cut at all this year. Our request is intact.
Excellent. Any questions for the chief on that?
No, just want to commend you again for the great job you did with the presentations.
Thank you. I'll be doing the one next Tuesday remotely. I won't be out of state, but I will be in the meeting. It's a Zoom meeting, so it makes it easy.
Great, thank you. Can you give us an update now? The next item is update on the promotional process for lieutenant. I believe that that process begins next week or so?
Next Monday. I spoke with the vendor today a couple of times. The written exam is scheduled for Monday, the 15th. And then on Tuesday, the 16th, there are 4 exercises that the candidates will participate in. And on the 17th, there'll be an evaluation of how they performed in the testing. So it'll be a 3-day event. And at the end of that, scores will be made available to the fire commission and they can set up interviews at their convenience.
Approximately how long after the sessions are ended that we see the results?
They will be available on Wednesday, the 17th.
Oh, that quickly, right at the
Yes.
end? Okay,
It's a small group. There's only 6 people testing, so they can score relatively quickly.
okay.
And is it generally, do we generally interview all 6 of them then? Or does it depend on how they do and?
Well, I think that the commission can set a criteria on what they believe a passing score would be. And we haven't finalized that, and then interview who they want. At the present time, we have 1 opening. And this list will be good for about 2 years.
All things considered, assuming people perform reasonably well in this exercise, and as there are only 6 candidates, I'd be open to interviewing, I'm open to interviewing all 6, assuming someone doesn't fail completely, just so we get a sense of the quality of our candidates for future reference, if we should have another opening. So, and to give everyone an even shot at it, but that depends on how well they do. But I'm open to that should we get to that. That's just my opinion. Okay. All right. Finalize the career assistant chief job description. The chief and the commissioners have a copy of that draft. Have you had a chance to review that, commissioners?
I have, and I did not see any changes that I would make. fairly comprehensive.
I also got a chance to look it over, and I am a little confused. What does it mean in where they have the requirements for work environment, physical activity, all that, and it says under a third to 2/3?
That was language that was put in. The town hired a
Right.
company, I can't think of her name right now, but she drew up job descriptions for everybody in town. And that was the format that she used. It has something to do with people with disabilities and people that might have sensitivities to different work environments. And those numbers were saying, I think the one that sticks in my mind is like noise, that you're in a noisy environment 1/3 of the time, and 1/3 of the time you're in a very quiet environment, and 1/3 of the time you're in a very noisy
Okay.
environment, or you're sitting down half the time and standing half the time. And I believe that's where all that comes into play.
Okay,
Yeah, and most of it would remind me of what would be covered in OSHA type requirements and that sort of thing.
Sure.
okay, I get it now. I just didn't know what it related to. It was,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Thank
believe all the job descriptions have that. I mean, not for the fire department because they were done long time before this was done. These were drawn up about 5 years ago.
okay, thanks.
so commissioners, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve this draft of the job description for the assistant fire chief as a final version, and then we can take any of the red markups and that sort of thing out of it.
So moved.
Second,
Unanimous, I vote for it. So we are finished with that portion. I will, I'll speak with the chief tomorrow and make sure we go through this and get it done as it's stated here and get it to Cheryl Jones. Chief, is there anybody else that needs to see this?
I believe it's a human resources thing. I don't know if anybody else, I think it's already been through the lawyers when they drew them up a couple of years ago, but we could ask Cheryl who needs to look at it and approve it.
Right. Well, yeah, she'll be the point of focus. So we'll start with her, and then it's really in her and her department's hands. Okay.
Right. It's a non-union position, so
Right.
that's not a concern.
Got it.
And how far out will we be posting this? What is our outreach for this position like?
The town generally takes up advertisements, and there could be nationwide exposure depending on what sites we put it on. I'm not really sure. Haven't really discussed it, to be honest with you. It's so far in the future that it's not really on my radar.
It's not something that you think we have anyone in-house that would be qualified.
Oh, everybody would know about it. Would be advertised locally in the state and possibly in a national periodical.
Okay.
There could be 5 candidates. There could be 50. I have no idea.
Yeah, just curious what the process was.
Sure, absolutely. It's open to anybody that wants to put an application in.
Yeah, my feeling on it is, yes, we will obviously do that, but I'd like to get us through the promotional process first, get that finished, and then we will have more than enough time to start this process. On top of which, as of the moment of this meeting, we still have to get through town council, meaning the budget. Just,
But the end is in sight.
yes, yes, it is. Thankfully, and fingers crossed, and it should go through.
Town council approves the budget at the end of the month,
Yep,
at the end of March.
right. So plenty of time. All right, Chief, moving on. COVID-19 staffing and vaccination update. I saw your notes going around today. Anything anyone else needs to know about that? That was an internal email.
It was an internal email. Our vaccination rate for volunteers and career members is 98%. We have a couple of people that are not getting vaccinated because of allergy concerns.
Okay,
We're also going to modify our travel restrictions in line with what the governor's travel restrictions are going to be. He's going to update his on the 19th and reduce the mandatory isolation period. We will follow his guideline on that also. The firehouse has been reopened for all members. We still have a lockdown for the general public, but membership has unlimited access to all facilities around the clock. So we're getting back to normal.
excellent.
Chief, does that 98% include our volunteers, or is
It
that
does.
our paid staff?
Everybody, volunteer and career.
Great.
Yeah, we're in good shape. Chief, I know we've been privy to the Rescue 5 chassis update and photographs internally, but for the public record, could you please give us an update? I saw the pictures from firefighter Devon.
Yeah, I just tried to post the picture. It says host has disabled my screen sharing.
Hold on, let me see what I can do here. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. Try now.
Okay, that seems to work.
Okay,
And here's the latest picture of the rescue truck at Gowan's Night in Watertown. It's under construction. You can see that they're building the compartments. There will actually be another layer of compartments on top of this being built on the chassis. We're still expecting a September delivery, but they're making very good progress. The shiny stuff you see is the stainless steel body. Obviously, it doesn't have any doors on it yet. And the body will be about the same height as the cab roof. And the length, you can also notice, is a little short also. You can see that there's a little bit of subframe that extends beyond the last compartment. And that's for like a bumper or a step and a ladder to get up on top. But this is where we are right now.
excellent. As an aesthetic, I like the look of the turned metal.
Yeah. It's stainless steel and they brush it so it, it has some texture.
Yep.
Great.
And I can stop sharing screen if I can figure out how to do it. Stop
We like
share.
looking at it, so it's okay.
Okay. And that's all I got on the rescue truck.
Okay. Back we go. Okay. There doesn't seem to be anything else on the agenda other than the next regular meeting is April the 13th, 2021 at 7:30 PM. And
Hey, Jack,
yes, sir.
just one update. So you all know, Car 2, we did an expenditure for the upfit on that, and everybody's probably wondering, why are there no radios and things on Car 2? It is the global computer chip shortage. So the funds are all back ordered. It's been over 2 months now. We've been waiting. So just in case you're wondering, the funds did go out the door. The parts were ordered. We're just waiting for specialty warning and the pieces to come in. The same thing that's hitting everybody.
So you're using your portables.
Yeah, and the batteries are on their way out. So Jack, I'll be calling you because I need to get a new battery.
I think we have them in stock.
All right, sir. But yeah, I just wanted you to know that's what's going on. It's been over 2 months now.
Thanks, Russ. Anything else for the commission? If not, make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to stop the recording.